It's not about when you start, it's about how you start to maximize the benefit for yourself. Today, I'm going to be talking about the 5 main investment accounts that people run into. The 5 are going to be your traditional brokerage account, a traditional IRA, a Roth IRA, 401k, and a 529. The traditional brokerage account tends to be the most free account. You know, there's no contribution limits, there's no limits to what you can do. You can buy pretty much anything on the stock market in one of those accounts. That can vary depending on brokers. Sometimes you'll run into they don't like Fidelity may only have Fidelity products or so on. But it's not very often that you find a broker who's like that. A lot of the times, anything on the market, they'll allow you to trade. The one trade off of your traditional brokerage account is the fact that all of your gains are going to be taxed. Now, you can either run into short term capital gain tax or long term capital gain tax. The next account we're going to talk about is the traditional IRA. The traditional IRA is a great account for those who are not W 2 employees. The reason I say that is because it's pre tax income. And if you don't receive pre tax income, then it's not good for you because then you're going to end up putting in already taxed income that you then get taxed on again. I don't know about you, but I'd rather stick to one time than two. The great thing about this account, though, is that if you are in a high tax bracket as a 1059 or so, you know, anyone else who doesn't get their income after taxes, it'll be great because if you're in that higher tax bracket, you can wait until you're in a lower tax bracket to be taxed. Whereas the Roth IRA is quite the opposite. You'd rather be in a low tax bracket now, get taxed now. That way, when you're a higher tax bracket, you can make those withdrawals. But it's important to know that both these accounts have contribution limits, 59 and a half, before you can withdraw anything without penalty. The nice thing about a Roth IRA, though, that differs from a traditional IRA is you're able to remove all your contributions without penalty, as well as a first-time homebuyer, you penalty as well. One of the great things about a 401k over your IRAs is the employer match. It typically tends to be around 3%. However, I have seen as high as 5% match. And who doesn't love free money? Well, sorta. You are still working for it. But at the end of the day, it's more money in your pocket, right? One important detail that should be noted is 401ks can have a certain amount of time before you get to or have 100% control. And this is normally called the vesting period. The 529 can be a very beneficial plan when it comes to investing in your kid's future. However, unless you have a kid, I would not recommend looking into it too much yet. If you have a kid on the way, you might want to start. So there will be contribution limits per year, but the nice thing is, if you start when they're young and you max it out every year, the likelihood that your kid ends up in student loan debt is not so high. It's a lot better than those who don't have that plan. However, it's important to know that if your kid decides not to go to college or technical school anything that qualifies as that's a qualified educational expense. Then any withdrawals from the account will not be tax free. That is one downside to the account. You really have to know that's the way they're going. However, it still can be beneficial. It can be used much like a traditional brokerage account if you don't end up having have your kid go to college. So it's something to keep in mind. Those are the 5 main brokerage accounts I've seen, as well as the financial advisors and investors I've talked to have used. Now, remember, it's not about when you get started, it's about how you get started. I hope to see you back on the channel. Goodbye.